For people with learning disabilities, getting access to eye care can be a challenging endeavour. This is a real problem as people with said disabilities are much more likely to suffer from eye problems, such as high refractive error or ocular pathologies, making access to eye care even more important. But for some of these people, getting high quality eye care can be a real challenge as they will need the sight test to be adapted to their individual needs. Because of this, Primary Eyecare Services modified a SeeAbility and LOXU pathway out of Greater Manchester that will help people with learning disabilities get the standard of eye care that they should. They call this pathway Easy Eye Care.
Things that this service looks at doing is providing acclimatisation visits for patients, so inviting them into practices to make them feel comfortable before they come for their eye test, to reduce anxiety and any pressure that might put on them. It gives the opportunity for a longer eye exam or a series of shorter exams to make sure that everything can be completed for that patient without the pressure of time that sits within a normal standard eye exam.
A lot of these patients will be eligible for a GOS sight test in its basic form. This pathway is an extended eye care service and so is a commissioned service, and thus there is a payment to the practice for participating and delivering that service for an individual patient through the mechanisms of contracting through Primary Eyecare Services to deliver the service.
The pathway is supported by a series of forms that the patient or their carer will fill in before the patient comes into the practice. These will allow the optometrist to know how to adapt the sight test to the patient's needs. There is also written information that can be sent after the eye exam to the patient and their carers, which will explain the patient's needs and allow their care plan to be updated. These are all in an easy read format, so the patients can understand what is being said about their eyes.
We've got a number of pilot sites across the UK. Our biggest is across the northwest. We cover 3 ICBs. So we have Cheshire and Merseyside, Greater Manchester and Lancashire. We also have a pilot site in County Durham and one in Sutton in southwest London.
We think that we've done the hard bit by actually getting the service commissioned and more importantly delivered by great clinicians in optical practices, but actually getting patients to the service has been equally, if not of a greater challenge. So what we're launching will be a single point of access for the areas in which this is commissioned, and that will allow patients with learning disabilities or their carers to be able to contact us at Primary Eyecare Services via telephone or email and provide their details, make the request for an appointment for a sight test under the Easy Eye Care pathway for patients with learning disabilities. Our team here at Primary Eyecare Services will support them to identify the correct practice and get them set up with an appointment at that particular practice.
We have some fantastic optometrists delivering this service. They have experience of doing the tests and adapting the tests to meet the needs of patients with additional needs.
Any practice that wishes to participate can contact Primary Eyecare Services through the usual channels via email or via the blue button on Opera that they'll be familiar with and request to deliver this service. They will need to carry out the Cardiff University WOPEC LOXU accreditation, which is online and a really useful resource for practitioners to enhance and be fully aware about the wider aspects of the pathway. And then they can have access, once they've completed that, have access to be able to deliver the service and be added to the list. So actually, we have a really clear process and they're absolutely welcome to get involved, and we'd encourage practices to do so. From a practice perspective, this is an opportunity for those practitioners with an experience or an interest to work with patients with learning disabilities to really get involved, to build those relationships with local carers and homes for patients with learning disabilities and these patients and build their practice in a different way and add to their armoury, but actually to really do something that is really powerful when you can see the impact it has on patients' lives. So I think a lot of practices, should I say, are involved with supporting patients with learning disabilities anyway, and this enables them to really get involved in a more substantive way.
So I've worked quite closely in developing this service, and I've worked, my personal experience working with the guys at SeeAbility, and particularly those LD patients with lived experience, has been so rewarding, and it's really made this project so enjoyable. It is really important. This will make a difference to people with learning difficulties' lives. You know, without a doubt, they need access to proper eye care, these enhanced tests that just give the extra time and support that they need to get the most out of it. And so I would say for me personally, it has been dealing with those patients with the lived experience. It's really shown to me and highlighted the importance of this service.